Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Aravaipa Rides podcast. I'm your race director, Aaron. I have a special guest in the studio today, a local rider, mom to the next generation of riders as well. I'd like to welcome Alisha Welsh.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. So you've got a pretty incredible story. You shared with me a little bit earlier, and I got a chance to probably just read the highlights of it, maybe highlights and lowlights of some of it anyway. But rather than me ask questions about it, I'd almost like you to retell it. Before we get started into it, though, I thought I might ask a quick just background. You started actually as a runner. You said in high school and college. Was it cross country? What was your passion for running?
Yeah, beginning of high school, picked up cross country initially, and then that transitioned into track too. So mostly distance stuff, but
Okay.
yeah, had a pretty good high school career, which transitioned into college career. Got a running scholarship at Southern Utah University, which is a small D1 school in Cedar City, Utah.
Okay.
But yeah, ran there for actually it was 5 years because I did a redshirt year. So had a pretty successful collegiate running career.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You still run it also?
No, it's funny because running in like high school and college, I loved it so much, and I was like, oh, I love running so much, like I'll never love anything more than running. Like I'm gonna be a runner for life.
Yeah.
And so now that I found the bike, I'm like, forget running, it's in the past. So I mean, yeah, I'm not interested in it right now.
I hear you. Okay, so your biking story seems to start after you met your husband. He was a biker apparently ahead of that and was already pretty skilled at it, according to what you told me earlier. So talk about, I guess, how the first bike and what got you rolling on that instead of running.
Yeah, so we got married when I was still running in college. So he had a biking background, but I was a runner. So I finished my collegiate running, and then I still did some running on the side, but he got me a mountain bike, and so like just took me out for a ride. And from all the running that I'd done, I had a really big engine, a lot of like fitness, but like no skills at all. So like he definitely like had all of that. So I'm like, yeah, I can keep up with you, but then I really couldn't because I had no skills. So
Sure.
rocks in the trail, downhill, I was like, why can't I keep up? It was so frustrating. So we just kind of like, I mean, we did some easier riding on and off, but eventually got me a road bike.
Okay.
And so that clicked much faster and much easier. There's definitely like a skill set that comes with road riding, but I mean, if you point it in a straight line on a smooth road, you can pretty much,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely still had to pick up like all the pack skills, there's definitely descending, cornering, and a lot of group riding skills, but those seem to come faster and definitely less frustrating. So
Yeah.
we did a lot of road biking in the beginning. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And that led you to some racing as well, like so.
Yeah.
Not
So
just...
we lived in Salt Lake at the time. We started doing some local races. Salt Lake has a ton of great mountains, so a lot of canyons to climb. So every day you can pick your like 5 different canyons. So really like just endurance, strength, really played into a runner's background because you can just set that heart rate high and just say, I go up a hill really fast. So I figured out that like hill climbing was my strength. So they have all these hill climbs, started going to those, having some local success, got with just a local team. Some girls started riding with them, which, just slowly builds on each other, these things that you do. I had no idea, like, winning a couple local races, just having fun, getting into it, doing group rides. And then that led me to, there was a local race in Salt Lake that I had done, and I was trying to get upgrade points. And I think I had just got enough points to upgrade to a 2. I think I was a 3, and I got up to a 2. The week before Tour of the Gila, which is one, at that time, they still put it on. It's kind of had its ups and downs, but at that time, it was one of the main races in the U.S. on, like, the U.S. pro scene.
Okay.
So I had just enough points to upgrade to go race in the Elite 1-2 field. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into, like total like newbie greenie. Talked my parents into like coming and doing support for me. We drive down to Silver City from Salt Lake City in like their old red van with my bikes in the back. I show up on the start line. I've got like baggy jersey. I don't know anybody there. I knew like 2 riders, just because they were like famous.
Okay.
U.S. riders. So, but other than that, like I'm just told nobody knows me, noob. So the first stage is a big, it's a point-to-point, like 70-mile stage that ends with the Mogollon Climb. Are you familiar with that at all?
No, I'm not familiar with the race at all.
Oh, okay. So it's a road race, I forget now. It's a 5 to 7 day stage race.
Okay.
I think it was maybe 5 or 6 stages. Anyways, this first stage is a long road race that ends with a really significant climb, the Mogollon Climb. It's like famous. Any road rider will know about it.
Okay.
So we get to this climb and we start up it, and Kristen Armstrong is the like famous rider. She's at that time, like a 2-time Olympian, 4-time Olympian now. She took off up the climb, and I was the one to follow her.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is okay. Where's everybody else? Where's everybody else?
Yeah.
And so then like she got away because incredible rider. And then these two other riders caught up to me and stayed with them for a while. And then I passed one. Anyways, I finished that stage in third, which just was kind of, so then like just, I heard some buzz, you know, people like coming talking to me like, hey, you know, like, who are you? Where are you from?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
you know, we don't know anything about you. And so, yeah, I got just a few, hooked up with some people, Michael Engelman, who worked for or had connections with USA Cycling, and then some of the race directors. And he just was a great person to connect me and kind of show me some of the ropes of filling out contracts or,
Okay.
I mean, filling out even just like resumes and who to talk to.
Gotcha.
So it just started the snowball effect of things that led to, by the next year, I had gotten a pro contract with, at the time it was Peanut Butter & Co. 2012. The race director was Nicola Cramner, and she's done a lot for women's cycling.
Okay.
But that just snowballed into, a pro road racing career in the U.S.
Very cool. Very cool. So, and how long were you on the pro circuit?
I raced 2 years on that team, and then I switched over to Primal Map My Ride. And Primal Map My Ride, those that year we actually rode BH bikes, which I believe is Pivot related, because we knew Chris Kohalis, you know, with Pivot.
I know the name. I know, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, kind of interesting Phoenix connection. So
Right.
really just 3 years
Okay.
on the pro road scene in the U.S. I did a spring in Europe with the U.S. national team. And then, started having some leg problems, which is a whole nother story.
Right, exactly. We're obviously kind of a mountain bike centric, although that doesn't mean that there aren't any roadies listening or watching this particular episode. But those of us who aren't, I did not come up on the road myself. So I would, played around with BMX when I was a kid, and then went into mountain biking. I was actually a runner for a long time through as well through high school. And stuff like that. So for those, I guess, who aren't on the road scene, maybe talk about a little bit of differences, since you have some mountain biking experience as well, kind of the differences between the two. Maybe just like again, you're kind of talking about the skills and the things that you bring to the table when you get on a road bike and a road race versus a mountain bike race.
Yeah, very different. Road racing it can be very fun and very exhilarating, and you are so in the moment when things are happening. It's you're riding tight groups. There's a lot that can go wrong quickly. So you just really have to be like super careful with your your group skills. Do things predictably and just as safe as possible, trying to keep everybody safe. It definitely is like, I don't want to say roadies are more uptight, but they definitely have that reputation. You got to have your sock height right. You got to have your this matching that. So
no baggy jerseys.
No baggy jerseys. No, not allowed. So I mean, mountain bikers, and then within mountain biking, you have all these different classes too.
Sure,
Your enduros versus your cross country riders, which are maybe in the middle, which is kind of where I'm at. Maybe I guess more of a cross country rider. Yeah. So a little more relaxed, but I mean, you can be uptight as you want in mountain biking too. But then, just a whole different skill set with mountain biking. I mean, you still go as hard as you can, but then you throw, rocks in and sand and dirt and everything. So it's just a whole different skill set.
I gotcha. Yeah, I think just like throwing it back to the running community too, right? The road runners versus like your trail runners is always a little bit of a a friendly rivalry, and they
True.
and I think kind of almost in the same way. I mean, like the road runners, I think my perception, I guess, coming from more of a trail runner background, they're the more uptight, like the sock height, the right shirt, the right sunglasses, the wraparound.
It's got to match.
Yes, everything matches, and person goes out for a trail run in like whatever shirt they picked up off the floor,
Yeah.
the shoes that they're beat up in the garage and that sort of thing, and not really caring if they're wearing two of the same socks or at all what height at what height it is. That's pretty funny. Again, so not having for myself road, but I have been just coincidentally watching a lot of the Lifetime gravel, the Grand Prix recently. And so getting a sense in a little bit, and of course I've seen some like Tour de France a little bit, here and there. I mean, you see some big road races, but I don't follow anything for sure. So and spending quite a few hours in the last few weeks watching some of these Grand Prix races, I get the feeling that it almost sometimes feels like road. Definitely more than at least cross-country mountain bike, right? I mean, there's usually a pack, there's usually a front pack, a back, there's a lot of drafting, there's a lot of that type of skill that does not. So I was going to ask about gravel. Does that sound about right for the road as well?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, I ride some gravel too, so gravel definitely is like a blending kind of.
Sure.
You've got these long straightaways,
right.
But then you also throw your rocks in. You got to have handling skills,
right?
You throw the dust in with the gravel, which you can't see where you're riding, so that's fun.
Makes sense too, I guess. Yeah, they don't show that part on camera. The dust right in front of the front tire.
Dusty. You're like, is there a pothole there? I don't know. Let's go for it.
Very fun. All right, so you did a bunch of road races. What are your favorites from that era when you were doing all the circuit?
Oh, I mean, I loved so climbing was my strength. So anything that a summit finish or just a hilly stage, like loved it. So once the road turned up, I was like, game on, like let's go.
Okay.
So I mean, Tour of the Gila was definitely a highlight for me. There was a lot of fun races, like Mount Hood in Oregon has like a ton of climbing. One stage has like 10,000 feet of climbing in it.
Okay.
That was a fun one. Redlands, there was a big one in California. Yeah, anything with a good uphill time trial or something. Loved it.
Are you doing mostly stage races, or are you doing a lot of just like kind of the one-off,
when I was
show up, start and finish?
Pro, a lot of it was stage races. We would do between 5 to week-long stage races.
Okay.
And then, I mean, the occasional, one-day race or crit here or there, but a lot of it was stage racing.
Gotcha. So we're talking, this is about 2018, about this time frame? Is that?
No, mainly.
Have I jumped up a little bit?
Yeah, so my pro days were a lot earlier.
Okay, sorry.
Like 2009, 2013, 14-ish, probably, those times,
Gotcha. So then I guess, so my head's clear. How long were you doing the road again?
So probably about 7 years.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what got you back onto the mountain bike?
Well, a lot, so kind of a chunk in the middle there between.
Was that the injury?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
Feel free to talk. I know sometimes, injuries and that kind of thing can be more personal. So don't say anything you don't want to. But I know you had one. That's why I was kind of leading to jump over. But yeah, by all means, share what you might about that. What stopped you?
Yeah. So, and it's a big part of my story and now today. So towards the end of my road racing career, I just started having this pain in like one of my legs. Like when we're racing, like as soon as it got like hard, like one of my legs would stop working. I just felt like I didn't have the power in it. I couldn't turn it over. I just couldn't get the torque that I used to get.
Yeah.
Just would have to back off. I was getting dropped where I wouldn't normally get dropped in races. Just not finishing as high as I wanted to. And so I was like, something is wrong, but I didn't know what. So, you start with massage.
Sure.
Like resting, like, you look at your leg length, cleat position, imbalances, PT, all these things. And like, like nothing's helping. So then you start riding more, nothing. You start seeing doctors. And it's kind of like, what kind of doctor do I see about this? But eventually, you're like, okay, I figured out that it was like maybe like blood flow related.
Okay.
So you go to like, a vascular doctor, and still like they kind of treat you like you are, I mean, most of their patients are, older, out of shape, whatever and I was like this 20-something-year-old elite athlete.
Sure.
So like they stick me on like a treadmill, have me walk for a minute, and then take blood pressures and, heart stuff. And you look healthy, find us, we don't find anything.
Okay.
So then I'm sitting, anyway, I come across this article on the internet about external iliac artery endofibrosis.
That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful to say. But basically, it's a kink or a clog in one of the main arteries into your leg.
Okay.
And it can, it just severely restricts the blood flow over time into that leg.
Okay.
So like at rest, you don't feel anything. Like you could just, I don't feel anything. But like as soon as like the intensity cranks up in a race or a training session or an interval,
okay,
and your heart gets pumping, your muscles just start getting not the oxygen that they need because the blood flow is getting reduced.
Yep.
So I was reading this article about somebody who had this, and I was like, everything is just these lights are going off in my brain, ding, ding, ding. Like this is what I have. I know this is what I have.
Yeah.
So I take this information like back to the doctor, and I know they love it when people walk in and are like, this is what I have. And they're like, oh, okay. But no, I'm like, I'm no, really, this is what I have. And so I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is how you have to test for it. Like, and so I bring my bike in with a trainer, and I hop on. I'm in the doctor's room, I'm riding along. I'm like, so let me ride till it hurts. So I like ride there. I mean, I can make it hurt in 10 minutes or 15 minutes if I want to. So I just like riding so hard. Like, and then, there's these tests you can do. They take your blood pressure in your ankles.
Okay.
So you ride until symptoms, and then they take, your blood pressure, well, resting before, and then when you have symptoms, and then every like minute until it returns. And they can measure like there's a significant difference in like each leg. And then at the same time, you can do like ultrasound on that artery to measure like the blood flow in and out of that leg.
Okay.
And so he's like, there's something definitely not right here. I'm like, I told you. Thank you. So finally, I got a diagnosis of what was wrong with it. But then it's like, okay, what do you do about this?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So at the same time, like the doctor I was seeing, like obviously new to like this problem or whatever, not really familiar with it. And so like he's like, let me do some research, and he comes back and he's like, this is what I found. He's like, we can try this surgery. He's like, or I can find a doctor who is familiar with it. And at the time, I had kind of like I had heard of like one or two other people who had it and maybe like not had a great outcome with surgery.
Yeah.
At this time, my husband was finishing up a PhD, and then he was going to start his first job. So we were doing like a big move, and then we wanted to start a family. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just hold off on things. And I didn't want to jump into surgery because I wasn't like, I'm not going to keep racing right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So took a little break. I still rode, still stayed active. Ended up having like 2 kids in the next couple of years. And then we moved a couple of times. Anyways, we moved back. Well, not back. We lived in Tucson, and then we moved up to Seattle. Moved up to Phoenix is where we ended up. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Finally settled back in Phoenix.
Settled back here. Yep.
Yeah. So then just we have mountain biking in our backyard. So it was just a natural fit to, get back on the mountain bike. And like the whole time I'd kind of like dabbled in it, but never seriously.
Sure.
But now I was like, okay, the trails are in my backyard. Like, this is what I'm going to ride.
Okay.
So definitely started riding a lot more mountain bike.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so just a ride that wasn't a race, not the highest of efforts. You're still doing okay on the legs, not feeling too bad. So you can actually get out there and enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I still rode a lot.
Okay.
A lot more than, most people. But just the racing efforts, especially at like the elite pro level.
Yeah.
Were just, not possible anymore.
Gotcha. So here you are. It's your second attempt, maybe you call it, at the mountain bike.
Yeah.
Talk about what was, I guess, maybe more successful this time around, where it took.
Yeah, I just had more easy access to it, so I could just do it more often.
Okay.
And then just the friends we all had were mountain bikers. Something just clicked, and I just love mountain biking now. I love it so much. So
Yeah.
yeah, just riding, starting to be able to keep up, getting skills, I don't know, downhill skills, uphill
Yeah.
skills, like rock skill, technical skills. So those started clicking, and I'm always like an athlete, a little bit competitive. So start getting the itch for like, okay, let's
Sure.
find an event.
Okay.
So yeah.
So your husband got got you into it the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty fast. You said you kind of had, you had a
Yeah.
hard time keeping up
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like that as
yeah.
you were still learning and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. Was it a little bit easier this time around? Were you keeping up? Were you going out with him?
Yeah.
Were you keeping up and kind of showing him that you could actually,
Yeah.
that you had progressed?
Yeah, I mean, he can always drop me whenever he wants to.
Okay.
But we actually do a lot, did and do a lot of riding together. Like
Cool.
we're like, yeah, like we love training together. Like if it's like, oh, do you want to go on a date to like get moving to dinner or going to mountain bike ride? I'm like, let's go on a mountain bike ride. Like hands down.
Very cool.
So yeah, so we do a lot of riding and training together, and yeah, like he tries to drop me and I try to keep up. So it's fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it works actually. I mean, a lot of people it probably wouldn't work for, but we make it work, so it's fun.
Very good. And you said you live sort of in the Haas
Yeah.
usury area. So what's your favorite like loop to go out on?
I mean, yeah, there's so many good ones, and I get kind of set in like I have to mix it up every day.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I like to just head down like a good just like cross country loop is like you head down either Maricopa Madness all the way down Stinger, and then go over and do like a big sister loop, and then climb back up, just whatever, back to the top. Or I mean, I really like to climb up Alp and drop down RMR,
Yep.
then do a big sister loop. Or I mean, like the original side of Haas, the west side's fun
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know. There's just so much. There's just so many loops you can do over there.
Kind of hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
So you left off mentioning that you were getting into like looking for events.
Mhm.
So now you're here in Arizona. You're into mountain biking now, right?
Yeah.
It's actually clicking for you, and you're doing well at it. What are some of the first events that you actually just signed up for?
They did the showdown in Usury.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think that was like one of my first events
Okay.
back. Did it as like a relay with my husband. We actually only at the time were like, okay, we need race bikes. So we ended up with like we had one good race bike,
Okay.
and we're pretty much the same size. Like we can ride the same size. So we rode one bike, both of us. So like he would do a lap, and then he would get off. I would hop back on this same bike.
There you go.
Go out and do a lap
Okay.
and come back. We would just trade.
Yep.
But so that was fun, yeah. And then just started into the whiskey was actually one of my first big
Okay.
races here.
It's coming up here in a few weeks
Yeah.
again, right? And I think you said in your conversation earlier, it's the 30. You did the 30 mile and
Yeah.
won. But is that the first time you rode, or was that
Yeah.
after a couple?
No, in 2019 was the first time I did the whiskey. I did the
Okay.
30.
Yep.
And I won it that year, so I was very very surprised. I had a
fantastic.
great race that day, and it was
Okay.
fun. Yeah.
Very, very cool. And then you mentioned being up for the 50 in 2020.
Yeah, so after winning the 30 and I was riding well, training, I had the fire. I was like, all right, like what does it take to ride the Pro 50 race the next year? So yeah, I really was kind of like had that like it's like a goal.
Yep.
And then COVID hit and ended up getting canceled. And then but they still did the NBAA series that whole year of COVID. They just adjusted, kind of spread things out, did over
Yeah.
2 days. So actually we were
Yep.
still able to race that year.
Okay. Yep.
And we did the whole NBA series that year. And,
Very good.
And had a lot of success and a lot of fun. Cactus Cup was one I won.
Yep.
Yeah, jumped in Cactus Cup, I think, the year before. So I've done a number of Cactus Cups now. But yeah, still able to race, what we could through COVID. And had a lot of success and just had fun.
Very good. What's your distance at the NBAA races? What do you usually signing up
Well, usually race elite, but the women race, it's between 15 and 19 miles usually.
Okay.
Yeah, about an hour and a half is what they target time-wise.
for? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you keep doing those throughout every year, not just
We've pretty much done those consistently
Nice.
since then. But yeah, so just like having this like every year of wanting to get faster and being able to get faster and progressing was really fun and just a fun time.
Very, very cool. You are bringing up 2 young girls,
Mm-hmm.
and they're riding as well. they're with the Foundry team out
Yeah,
in
they
Queen
are.
Creek
Yeah, yeah.
and Mesa. How's that been going?
Pretty good. I mean, they're young, so right now, just with me and my husband both being like pretty competitive elite riders, we just have to kind of like hopefully have them find the joy themselves too.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we're balancing this like gently pushing them into it with having them like do it themselves or discover the joy themselves. But we have a lot of fun with the group. There's so many talented little kids out there these days that can get into the sport so much earlier.
Yeah.
That it is like amazing. Like, yeah, I'm like, I didn't start riding until I was like 25. I'm like, if I could have started riding when I was like, 5, like, yeah, it would have been awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, just it's fun. Like we each, coach some of the groups and just to see them progress and gain skills and confidence and have fun with their friends and stuff. It's fun too.
Very cool. Just you're doing obviously a lot of the NICA stuff with their age group. And sorry, their age group would actually keep them out of NICA.
So
for now,
they're not old enough
they
for
are on the younger
NICA
side
yet. Yeah.
But like so MBAA or are there other youth organizations that they can ride with youth races?
The main thing for the pre-NICA kids is the MBA right now.
MBA.
Yeah, and then like just other things that have a kid race, but most of all the younger kids do the MBAA series.
Yeah. So how are they taking it? I guess so. You said it's a gently push kind of situation.
So our oldest is 9, and she's definitely probably more there for the social aspect.
Okay.
She's there for the friends and the talking and playing.
Yep.
So she rides and she's coming along.
Yeah.
But our younger one has a tiny spark of like maybe something, but we'll see if it turns into something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You were talking about spring break just before we went on the air here, and you did the MBAA race in Havasu.
Mm-hmm.
Being the distance that Havasu is from the valley here, it's probably one of the least attended, unfortunately, right? For Phoenix area folks. Get a lot in from Vegas and from California and some of the other spots, but the Phoenix teams don't always seem to make it up there, at least not consistently is maybe the right word. But tell us, so maybe again, a few people who probably haven't made that journey up for the Havasu race. What's that one like?
Havasu is really fun. It's grown on me over the years. I think we've raced it 3 or 4 times now. Unfortunately, it usually is very hot there, so a lot of people struggle with the heat there. But this year was perfect conditions. But it's very different terrain. It's kind of like desolate, rocky terrain. Definitely a little more chunk to it. There's a few kind of technical spots, but it's really cool. You're up on like these ridges. I don't know. You're just like cruising through this. It's like a moon landscape almost.
Sure. Yeah.
At least like the adult races. The kids' races actually, I wish it could be improved a little bit. It's just really rocky and really like switchbacky. So the kids' race I think it could be improved a little bit, but the adults' race is like awesome there. But yeah, it's a fun getaway from the town or from something different. So yeah.
Very cool. Getting back to the kids, so you said you are doing some coaching and stuff like that. So now that you've got this body of work behind you, both running and cycling, road and off road, what's it like getting in front of the next generation? And are you only with kids your daughter's age, or are you coaching some of the older kids too?
No, well, so my group that I interact the most with is my youngest starters group. So I get the kids who are just coming into it. So really it's very, very, very beginner, but it's really fun because you definitely see the improvement. But on what they can ride from our first ride to what they can ride now. Through the season. But then on the other side, like racing the MBAA, like the NICA kids and some of like the teenagers, I don't know, most of the kids that race elite now, or the women that race elite are under 20.
Yeah.
Like the field.
Gotcha.
So like, I line up with these kids basically. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So they're very talented and they're very strong and they're very fast.
I've noticed that both girls and boys with the youth, there's an unbelievable group of kids coming up in like the 14 to probably 14 to 20. Right? It
Yeah.
stretches into the adults a little bit. And of course, this is just right here. I don't have perspective into too many other regions.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I think the ability for a lot of these kids to now get on a bike and start getting competitive at 4, 5, and 6, kind of the traditional like little league and soccer and the other traditional sports, I guess you could call them, that kids get into and start playing. And some of them go on to be high school, college, and professional stars as well in those. And some of them just find the love of the game and play through and whatnot. But to have a sport like this that's now offering, has these abilities where, again, when you and I grew up, I don't think there was anybody. I mean, mountain bikers were probably, only grown-ups. They were putting fat tires on their Schwinn's and just like going out into the woods or whatnot. To see the sport progress like that and have that ability is pretty amazing. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, the next 10 or 20 years as more and more of these kids have had that opportunity and then are moving up, right, to see it. It's pretty cool that you've got that firsthand perspective.
Yeah, just the support that they have, like, your friends to go ride with, the adults putting on the Nike races for you, like, it's incredible.
Yeah. Where would you like to see it progress if you could, having that perspective on the firsthand, like seeing the younger kids? Is there anything that you would like to see really instituted by some of those formal bodies that are out there, whether it's an actual team or a NICA type group or anything like that? For the children, for the youth?
I mean, I think I've only been working with like the Foundry team this is really only our second year, so
Okay.
no, not a lot of experience. It'll be fun to kind of get into the Nike years to kind of see that and how that involves. But I mean, that's great. I think the trouble is the step after Nike, especially for the female riders. You lose a lot when they go to college or the next step in their life,
Gotcha.
get married or whatever. Yeah, so because really you have zillions of riders in that whatever 12 to 18, 19, 20 range. And then the fields definitely drop off the 20 to 29.
Yeah.
There's a lot less women, which
Gotcha.
is unfortunate. So hopefully there can be something, maybe, I don't know, that can help retain those riders.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, and I think every youth sport and youth sport organization kind of has that, right? There's things that happen after 15, 16, 17,
This
after 20, 21, 22.
You do have to grow up, unfortunately, I guess.
And not everyone can be that elite
That's true,
racer, right? So there's at some point you either realize that I can't keep up with these kids anymore, and maybe I just shouldn't, or I'm not an elite racer myself by any means. So I'm a mid packer and I'm happy to be just, getting at the race and going out and just, just competing, right? Just the competition itself. So yeah, you kind of have that, that mindset of like, hopefully you don't stop, right? That's obviously what you never want to happen, but get out there, just go, still love it, or become a weekend warrior. If the competition and the fire is you want to do it at that top level and you don't have that in you, then just go out and ride on a Saturday and have a great time with your friends, because we can always do that. And you're lucky in that you're right close to the trails. I'm not too far from South Mountain myself, so it's a nice, just like, I can just get out and ride and go for 20 miles and come home and have some coffee.
Yep, so fun.
Kicking it back to you a little bit, you had so you'd gone through this whole injury, identification, some therapy and stuff like that. What were you able to, or how were you able to kind of get back in? You're competing now, not at the elite levels, but still doing a lot of racing, as you had said. What was the mindset that you had to go through to continue that competition, but knowing that you're not going to be like right there at the top like you had been?
Yeah, so getting to mountain biking, mountain biking, that was like a whole new, like, exciting time where I was improving, looking for the next thing that I could do to make myself better. But unfortunately, 2021-ish, I started having severe leg problems again, and I don't really know why. It kind of went away for a while. I mean, I think I wasn't training quite as hard as I was when I was racing pro, or maybe just that big break of years kind of not racing.
Okay. Yeah.
But as I tried to step it up again, I really was having issues with the leg again.
Gotcha.
So it got to a point where, I was just getting super frustrated, like, just, not feeling good, not having good rides, not doing well in races, or not as great. And I had heard that Kyle Trudeau, a local mountain biker, had the same issue
Okay.
and actually had surgery on it. So I
Mm.
connected with him. Set up some meetings, figured out who he used for a surgeon,
Yeah.
where he went, and it was a vascular surgeon down in Tucson. So I was like, oh great, that's close. So
Yeah.
hooked up with that doctor, got re-diagnosed. He was familiar with the problem, had seen it. He'd done the surgery before. So got surgery scheduled. I was super excited. Had surgery done 2021 summer or fall of that year. And he went in and cleaned out what he believed was they call it the disease section of artery.
Okay.
And there was actually it looked like string cheese that he cleaned out of my artery.
Okay.
So he was like, after surgery, he was like, I really think you're gonna see improvement. I'm excited.
Yeah.
He's like, because I took stuff out of the artery.
Okay.
And so I'm all pumped, and it's a fairly major surgery. They because it's one of your main arteries into your legs, so they keep you overnight in the hospital, and then it's complete rest for a good chunk of time. It varies from doctor to doctor, but I think I had about 6 weeks of nothing.
Okay.
And then a very, very slow build back, just because they don't want that leaking or injuring or anything. So a very slow build back. So once I got to start building back, I was super pumped, super excited. But as I was building back, it just wasn't quite feeling normal.
Okay.
And these little I don't know. And then I'm like, oh, I'm just being paranoid. I'm just worried. I'm like, I'm not in shape. I'm just give it time.
Yeah.
And talking with Kyle Trudeau again, he's like, oh, it took me about a year before I felt good. So I was like, okay, I'll give it some more time.
Yeah.
Give it some more time. But you still have these follow-up appointments every 4 to 6 months after a major surgery.
Sure.
And so, I keep talking to my doctor. I'm like, oh, I just don't know. I'm like, I just feel, it doesn't feel right. So then, we start doing follow-up tests, checking blood flow, and we bring in the bike again. We do the tests again. And unfortunately, the blood flow was the same or worse than before.
Okay.
So we were both pretty bummed about that. And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't know why. He's like, it could either be we didn't get all of it out, or scar tissue is another thing, or it can just kink again. But he's like, so we went over back and forth options, back and forth. He's like, I can try the surgery again. There's another even more invasive surgery, and I don't know. So I'm like, yeah, let's just sit on it for a while. So I've been having follow-up appointments every 6 months, and but nothing.
Gotcha.
We haven't decided on anything. So so when I'm racing, I do okay until high intensities, and then it feels like there's a tourniquet around the top of my leg. I mean, so it just that leg just starts to just get so weak, and especially in my quad, it just feels like that leg cramps so much easier, and then you just have to back it off. So you really just have to manage your efforts. So I still love racing, and I race as much as I can, but it definitely severely limits me now on what I can do. Hills, I used to just I loved when the hills came up. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get attack. But I just have to really manage the hills now, and not bump up into that, I call it the danger zone.
Sure.
If I get in the danger zone, then I'm in trouble. So So I mean, that has definitely been a challenge now, because I have realized, and I mean, I'm not old, but I'm an aging athlete, I guess, It
We all
happens
get there.
to all of us.
Yep.
So I realized that peak performances are definitely in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
So just resetting expectations and doing it more for I don't know, the experience, I guess, or maybe competing against myself, which I'm not my old self though, because that's
Sure.
so it's always hard. But So like I say, like I line up and I look over, I'm like, oh man, these kids are gonna crush me.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
but then I'm like, okay, don't look at it that way. Look at it as like excited, like I'm excited for them. You know, and I'm happy to be out here for the ride.
Cool.
So it's still fun.
I didn't want to stop you from talking because it was great, but I did want to go back to something. There's a couple of questions I had. So one is more the technical aspects of not injury, but I don't want to call it necessarily disease, but the whatever that
Yeah.
this thing that's happening to you. But before that, please don't let me forget me to hit that part. I wanted to ask the doctor that you hooked up with down in Tucson. Did he have any explanation as to why it seemed to go away for those few years and why then it came roaring back when you started riding again?
The only thing was maybe like the long period of rest, because they say it's maybe from the position of riding to, I mean, I still was riding all the time, but just not super high intensity. Or just as I started to train more, there was just getting to be more buildup in there.
Okay.
So just it was progressing worse, I guess.
Within the artery
Yeah,
itself.
within the artery, yeah.
Okay. The technical aspect, because you kind of mentioned the string cheese, and then you also mentioned like the artery being kinked. I guess just for clarity again for myself and maybe anyone else who is listening, what is going on to your knowledge inside the artery that's causing that flow obstruction for the blood? Is it the artery's actually kinking, kind of like a garden hose?
So, I mean, runners, it has been diagnosed in runners, but mainly it's cyclists, and they think it's genetics definitely plays a bad part. You just get unlucky genetics.
Okay.
And then something from the position just bent over.
Mm,
So, I mean, we
okay.
tried sitting me up higher, but I mean, I think once the damage is done, it's kind of
done.
done. There's really no reversing it, unfortunately, with like
Okay.
rest or whatever. Yeah. So it really is like a kink, and then just the blood cannot flow through there as quickly as your leg needs it when you're needed.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Back to the present then. After those two questions, so you said for now, like when you're racing now, you're looking at all the young ladies lining up against you. Is it more just a management of the injury of you said you talked about the danger zone, so you just kind of try to keep yourself outside of, as close as you can get, but outside of, so you can still compete.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's allowing you
out
there now.
And I love racing. I do love trying to go fast. I don't know if that'll ever leave me.
Sure.
It's just redefining it, but I was going somewhere with this. Now I forgot.
No problem.
Must not have been that important. What was your question?
The question just about the management. Like, is it since you said the surgery didn't really go, so is it really just sort of like managing that danger zone?
Yeah.
You kind of know as you feel yourself getting towards it or whatnot.
Yeah. So, okay, I got it. So like, I probably would even be okay, not racing as much.
Okay.
But where my family is so involved in it, like
Right.
my husband races and he likes to do all the NBA stuff still.
Okay.
And then my kids are racing at it. So I'm like, if we're at the race, might as well race.
Sure.
So it's a great opportunity to get in like a good workout that you're not going to do on your own.
Sure.
Like you're never going to push yourself that hard if you're just by yourself. So I'm like, I'll race. It's okay. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, as long as it works for you, right? I mean, if that's, again, surgery there doesn't seem, aside from being more invasive, which none of us really, want to get into, it's never, I don't want to say it's never a good idea, obviously, but it's not that, but it's like, you have to weigh the pros and the cons. Like, how much do I want this guy to be digging into my leg?
Yeah. I mean, I think if I was younger, I probably would do something more about it, but, I'm just having fun, trying to have fun still.
Very good.
With it. But I mean, so this particular injury, if you call it that, it's becoming a lot more talked about and diagnosed in cyclists. So there have been, unfortunately, there's way more unsuccessful surgery stories that I've heard than successful stories.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's just still trying to figure out how to repair that artery if you can. Like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, she has had it done and has been able to return to top World Cup racing. And then I know like Mariana Voss has had it done too and has been able to return to top racing. But then I can name uh, numbers of others who has ended their career.
Gotcha.
So former teammate Taylor Wiles had the surgery done probably 2 years ago, and then she wasn't able to come back from that.
Okay.
Yeah, a few other stories of people who, so I'm not the only one that it doesn't work on.
Yep.
So that's, I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, so you said you don't really run anymore. You kind of, I'd say gave it up, but moved into the cycling. Do you still hit the road every once in a while?
For riding?
For riding?
Yeah. I train on the road still probably 2 times a week.
Okay.
Then we just have a fun group. So where I'm at in my riding is like, I want to have fun. I want to have all my friends ride. So it's a social circle.
Yeah.
We have a fun, the Jet Set group rides. They have like 2 group rides a week, basically.
Okay.
That are on the road. So we usually go do those that we can, do in the mornings early, and then mountain bike the rest of the time.
Is it just a women's group, or is it?
No, it's a mixed group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your husband part of it too?
Yeah, mostly men, but there's a number of us.
Unfortunately,
females.
the sport I'm very well dominated by. And then you did mention a little bit like you've done some gravel. So do you kind of cross into road, gravel, and some cross country?
Yeah,
mountain biking.
If it's a bike, I'll ride.
It doesn't matter. 2 wheels and pedals, right?
So I have a gravel bike, so I like the gravel. This last weekend, we did a ride from Tortilla Flat to Roosevelt.
Oh, nice.
Which is a pretty adventurous gravel ride here, so it was a fun one.
Okay.
Yeah. Even dabbled in enduro. It's definitely my weak spot, but I did the Haas Enduro a couple of years ago.
Very cool. Very cool. You talked about NBA, and NBA has, I think, 2 more races left, if I remember correctly, roughly about where we are in the calendar. What other races do you have coming up? What are you looking forward to this year?
I mean, pretty much the last 2 NBAs and whiskey. Then, May is where things kind of start to wrap down.
Okay.
Unless you're doing the night series with
come
Aravaipa.
on out. You got to come out. It's the only place to be in the summer.
Because it gets too hot. Yeah. So, I mean, we pretty much wrap it up around May.
Okay.
And then we, do some traveling and just, riding for fun when the heat turns up. So.
Okay. Nothing for the fall yet? Is that too far out?
That's too far out.
Okay.
I got till May planned, and that's it.
Gotcha. What are you riding this year in the whiskey?
The 25.
Okay.
Yeah. I did the 50 once the year after I had my surgery, just because it was like, I felt like it was unfinished business.
Sure.
So I didn't race the pro race, but I still did the open 50. I finished second in the women's field that year.
Excellent.
But just felt like I needed to at least do it once. Say I did it.
For sure.
But the 25 is way more fun.
I gotcha. Well, you can be done in a couple hours, and you can sit down and have lunch, and everything's good. You're not out there all day.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to kind of start to wrap up with a question about your retrospective, looking back at your career. You've got a pretty wide pedigree of running, all the way through. Did you say before high school or just in high school?
I mean, dabbled before, but really high school is when I got serious.
Okay, so high school, college, pro circuit on the road bike, getting into the mountain bike as well. When you look back at all of that, what stands out as some of your proudest moments, favorite moments? It doesn't have to be like a professional number one, but like a great time, an experience that you'll never forget. Some of the top ones that
definitely,
pop up.
There's a lot to think back on that. Really, probably the first one was high school senior year. I was able to win the state championship.
Okay.
So that was something that me and my coach worked towards. Yeah, that was
which distance were you in?
Cross country. It was in Utah. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah.
Very nice.
State champion there.
Yeah.
That will always stand out as a highlight. That road race at Torre de Gila where I finished third on a stage.
Okay.
My very first big race.
The one you talked about, yeah.
That's definitely a highlight because totally unexpected, out of the blue. And then just those are the main 2.
Okay.
Unless I really looked through memories. But but I'm sure I could pull out a lot more. I mean, lots of other fun stuff.
Yeah. If your daughters do continue with it, what do you hope for them in the future and their endeavors?
If it's mountain biking, I mean, it doesn't have to be mountain biking. I just want them to find something that they love.
Okay.
So, I mean, if it's not mountain biking, then it could be something else. Because I just know once you find that thing that clicks with you, like you got to let them run with it. So maybe it's mountain biking, but it doesn't have to be.
Sure.
So we'll try to support them in whatever it is.
Very nice.
And then just, see what they can do with whatever they find joy in.
Yeah. So you're not pushing them to be like number one, right? They have to be number one.
No. Like we enjoy doing rides with them as a family. Like
Yeah.
we did a canal ride with them yesterday to like a brunch spot and then rode
Fun.
back. So
Yeah.
they were like 10 miles yesterday, which is good for them. And
Yeah.
we all had a nice time out there making memories together. So as long as we enjoy doing it together, and it's great.
Are they showing any interest in other hobbies or sports at all, or is biking kind of? I know it's kind of newer to them, so it could be just like the new period too of like adjusting into a new interest.
They do some rock climbing classes.
Oh, cool.
And they seem to be doing okay. That is their first rock climbing classes, but one of them's a little spider and it's pretty good. So I don't know. Try a few different things.
Yeah. See what sticks, right?
Yeah.
What, like you said, what the love is.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What else can we tell the world about you since you're here? You're not a big social media person, so it's not like people can go find you. They can go find you, but not that they'll find you and find like your whole life's out there, all of these stories there. Anything that you want to share before we wrap it up today?
I don't know.
Did we get to everything?
Probably. I probably shared more than you wanted to know.
No, we like to hear it. So awesome. Well, Alisha, thank you for coming in and sharing the story.
Me.
Like I said, it was pretty fantastic when I heard about it. So I really wanted to bring you down. I was looking forward to getting down and actually hearing it from you and getting a little bit more. So thanks for sharing it to the audience. And to the audience, thank you for checking out another episode with us. We'll see you next time.